Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 157 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills helps you improve your table tennis. 157 is a prime number. The next prime is 163, and the previous prime is 151, with which 157 forms a sexy prime triplet. And taking the arithmetic mean of those three primes yields 157. Thus, it is a balanced prime. Now, it's Technique Tuesday, and we're going to talk about correcting errors. In the questions, we discuss tension when looping, what exactly a punch is, what to do about sweat getting on your rubbers, and we give a few tips about the forehand loop off a backspin serve. I'm Jeff Plump, and as always, Super Coach Alois Rosario is here with me to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And 157, no good, Jeff. 156 was much more interesting. What about in this day in history? We've got a birthday today. The great.
That is pretty funny because what happened on my side was you went the great, and then you cut out and you said something, and it was just pure silence, and then you came back in. I still have no idea who you were talking about.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, born on this day. Wow.
Yeah.
Do we know what year?
Yes, indeed. No, sorry.
Okay, but he was born on this day. There you go. Interesting fact. Now, Alois...
Need to do better research.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I mean, that can't compete with the sexy triplet prime and the balanced prime. It's a sexy triplet and a balanced prime. I mean, that's interesting. And it's a sexy prime because it's 157 and 6 before it is 151 and 6 after it's 163. They're both primes, and it's from the Latin word six, which is like sex.
Yeah, technique. Technique Tuesday. Yeah.
No, I don't want to go on to Technique Tuesday. First, I want to just discuss about what happens in a rally when the ball breaks, because we had a question from Mark Taylor who said, yeah, what happens when a ball breaks? Because with these new plastic balls, apparently sometimes they're just exploding. So, like, if the ball comes over, hits the table and just explodes into pieces, what is the ruling? What actually happens in that situation, Alois?
All right. So, Jeff, I'll just read Mark's question. So, he said, Alan, Jeff, what is the rule on when the ball breaks? At last night's pennant, I think we replaced about 8 balls in our 11 matches. The issues varying from that sounds cracked to the ball disintegrated, split almost in half. In 2 of the points, one where I hit the ball and the ball went long, and the second point, my opponent hit the ball and it broke and landed and skidded on the table. So he lost both points. So I went to the source. I went to Graham Ireland, our friendly referee, probably one of the most knowledgeable men in the world on ITTF rules, and he came back with a great answer. So he said, in all cases, if the ball breaks or becomes unplayable during a rally, then it is a let. So, and he said this is covered let as follows. 2.9.2.4, because the conditions of play are disturbed in a way which could affect the outcome of the rally. So he also said that it was proposed by the Athletes Commission to insert a new rule because of the amount of balls that were breaking. They wanted to put in, if the ball in play is broken in a way which could affect the outcome of the rally, and the rationale was to avoid the confusion. So while it had good support, it was defeated because both the Umpires Rules Committee and the Rules Committee said that it was unnecessary, as this was already covered in the rules. So they're really confident that if the ball breaks or if it cracks and becomes unplayable, it is definitely a let. So that is a rule that, because of the plastic balls at the moment, it's a rule that needs to come up and needs to be made really clear to everyone out there. So make sure you're familiar with it and spread the word.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Alois, because I, to be honest, was not sure about that. And initially I probably would have gone with that it's just play on and bad luck. But thinking about it, a let really is the obvious answer. I mean, and the fair answer in that situation. So I'm glad that is the rule. And also, I'm pretty happy with the way the umpires handled the proposal for the new introduction of the rule, because I don't like making rules bigger just for the sake of them. So if it's already covered and the umpires are happy that it's covered in the current rules, it makes sense not to introduce more. So big kudos to the umpires for how they handled that situation. Yeah, and spread the word. If the ball breaks, it's a let. All right. Let's move on to a Technique Tuesday, Alois. And today we're talking about correcting errors.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of good feedback from this technique that we show on site. So with technique, it's really important to
You're just breaking up again, man. We are going to have to do something about this internet connection, Alois. I'm not sure what, but we're going to have to do something. So yeah, basically the whole premise of this video that Alois did on correcting errors is not to think about it as correcting errors, but to think about it as learning a new stroke, because that way it kind of frees up your mind to be able to concentrate on what you have to do and not worry about what you were doing wrong in the past. And we've got a few people to try this, and it's amazing how just that little switch in the brain helps you suddenly learn the new stroke and frees you up not to worry about anything in the past. So yeah, Al, you've had good success with this, haven't you?
Yes, and it's a technique that really works for players. So if you're looking at trying to change technique, forget about changing it. Think about learning a new technique. Give it just a slightly different mindset. You will be really surprised at the success of it.
Very good. All right, so try that out. Correcting errors. If you got something you want to fix, think about learning a new technique. Now, yesterday's PingSkills question of the day was brought on by some cold weather that we've had here in Melbourne, and it was, what is the coldest temperature you have played table tennis in? And Alois, what feedback did we get from this question?
Yes, so we did get a bit of good feedback. So Dominic said, this is an extract from the 2013 President's Report from Northern Suburbs in Hobart, Tasmania. So in Tasmania, it's very far south in Australia and usually the coldest part of Australia. And so he said, what is it about the Northern Suburbs Open that this is it? What is it about the Northern Suburbs Open it is always so darn cold? 2 years in a row has been the coldest day of the table tennis calendar. So very, very cold indeed at the Northern Suburbs Open. And Francisco said 3 to 5 degrees. And Sam said have to be around 5 degrees in Canberra. The rubbers tense up, and they do. The rubbers get really, really hard and cold, and not very elastic when it gets that cold. So Trevor Hertz said -1 in Middle Earth, Sunbury. So and Pradeep said about 7 degrees Celsius. So and Noel said never too cold in Texas. Lucky you, Noel. And what really brought it on was yesterday morning I did some coaching out in the back in the PingSkills shed at 6:45 in the morning, and the temperature gauge said -3.7 degrees, and boy, was it cold. My hands were freezing.
That is cold. Now, the only people I can think of that may have played in colder temperature are the editing sports guys, who we did a bit of a collaboration video with recently, but they were playing on ice in that video, Alois. I mean, that must have been pretty cold.
I reckon they've beaten my minus 3.7 for sure, and we'll put a link to that video. Very entertaining video indeed. So we do feature in it a little bit too, Jeffrey.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So yeah, check out the show notes at pingskills.com. All right, that moves us on to the PingSkills question of the day, which is, who do you want to see win the Pan American Games? So get involved. We love to hear your thoughts. Jump onto our Facebook page and leave a comment, or jump onto our blog at pingskills.com and click on the blog link. All right. Now we've got some really interesting questions today. And first up is a question from Mike D, who says, "Hi guys. When I try to loop a long ball with a lot of backspin, my arm tenses up. Many times I'm able to loop it over the net, winning points against various players. But when my arm is more relaxed, I have trouble looping the ball. So how can I correct this?"
Yeah, so you might feel like, when you tighten it up, you get a better stroke, but in fact, you are controlling what's happening. But if you start to relax your arm, you will find actually get a lot better. You'll actually be able to generate more speed, more spin, all those sorts of things. So really focus on getting that arm relaxed. We've got a lesson on the slow spinny topspin that we will put a link in the show notes too, and that will help you as well. But yeah, definitely keep it nice and relaxed, but the action needs to be very sharp and fast when you're playing that slow ball as well.
Yeah, so this comes up quite a bit, Alois. So how do people know the difference between what's too relaxed and, what's the ideal way to play your forehand topspin? Because I guess people think you have to have some kind of strength to move the arm quickly. So how do you tell the difference between, what's too tense and then what's just the right amount? Does that make sense, my question?
Yep, sure does. So a little test I get the players to do is I get them to swing without the ball. So if you swing without the ball, bang, okay, that is the stroke you need. You don't need any more effort than that to make your stroke. As soon as the ball comes in, if you're tightening up, then you're going to start to use more effort. You don't need that extra effort. Okay, so the ball is so light, the bat is light. It's not like you need to, really lift it up or get the ball moving back because it's so heavy. It's really light. You don't need that effort. All you need is the effort to move the bat in the right stroke or the right technique and the right path. That's your aim. If you keep the bat moving in the right path, then you can move it as fast as you want, but decrease the effort. Do not increase the effort. That's the key.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I love that tip. Just practice without the ball first, and that's sort of the pace. And if you always watch the top players, they hit the ball so hard, but it looks so effortless, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks effortless because it is. Because they're using the minimum amount of muscles, the minimum amount of effort to make that stroke.
Brilliant. All right, thanks for the question, Mike, and keep working on that forehand topspin. It's all about practice. You will get better. All right, next up is a question from Noel, who says, "Hello, coaches. Is a punch a fast counter drive, or is it more like a flick? And by the way, I notice my legs are getting stronger and my strokes are more powerful, trying to stay low. And the premium videos are helping a lot. Thanks." So yeah, some advice for Noel. What is the difference between, what is a punch?
Yes. So thanks, Noel, for those kind words. That's good. I'm glad you're enjoying that premium content. So a punch is a little bit different. So a fast counter hit or a counter drive. So with that, you're starting in your normal backhand position, coming up and forward that way. So it's like a very small backhand stroke. Whereas the punch, you're tending to start with your bat up a little bit higher, and as the name suggests, you're punching through the ball. So it's a very flat type of contact. So So there is a little bit of a difference there. So with the backhand counter hit or the fast counter hit or topspin, it's that sort of action. So from low to high, for those listening on the podcast, and for the punch, you're starting with your bat up and the bat's coming straight through the line of the ball. So yeah, so that's a difference. I suppose the best lesson for you might be how to counter a slow spinny topspin. In that video, we show you the differences between the backhand block, the counter spin, and the punch. So yeah, take a look at that one.
Yeah, that is a good video, and again, we'll put that in the show notes. And if anyone else is interested in our premium membership, go to PingSkills.com. We've got heaps of videos to help you improve your table tennis, a whole series on serving, whole series on receiving, on match strategy, on multi-ball, sports psychology. Plus, we've got a 52-week training plan, which everyone who takes up the premium membership just really enjoys. Lays out in 4-week blocks, we lay out different things to focus on, from consistency to speed to spin to placement to serving, receiving. So yeah, it really lays out a great way for you to improve. So that, along with the rest of the videos, well worth a look. Check it out, pingskills.com, our premium membership. All right, next up is a question from Amar, who says, hi, when I'm training, some drops of sweat get on the rubbers, and when I try to get rid of them with my hand, the rubbers become sweaty and the grip's removed because of the sweat on the rubbers. How can I solve this problem?
Yeah, so as soon as the rubber gets a little bit wet, it basically becomes useless at points. So if the ball hits a wet part of the bat, then it's just going to slide off. You're not going to get any grip. So it's really important to keep the rubber nice and dry. That's the first thing. So how are you going to keep it dry? Often in a training situation or even in a match situation, you get really wet and sweaty. So your hands are sweaty, your shirt's sweaty, your shorts are sweaty, and you haven't got anything dry to dry it with. So as soon as you see a little bit of moisture there, you need to use a towel and try to keep a dry towel. So the rule says that you're allowed to use a towel every 6 points. But if your bat is wet, it's important that you tell the umpire, and he will allow you to dry your racket, because no one wants to play. Well, you don't want to play with the racket being wet, and your opponent certainly doesn't want to play with your racket being wet, because the ball's going to come off really strangely. So keep a towel, and don't have a little towel like that. If you sweat a lot and it's a hot day, get a big towel so that you can have some dry bits at the end of the match as well as the start of the match. I've seen a lot of players, go out there with a little towel, and then by the end of the game, like, the towel's dripping wet and they're dripping wet, and yeah. So get a big towel if that's an issue for you. But keep your rubber dry. Very important.
Excellent advice. All right, hopefully that helps you out, Amar. Next up is a question from Chi, who says, my coach is going to make me have a competition with my teammates next month to get me ready for next year's competition. Can you give me some suggestions on what to do when I start out in the competition? Okay.
So first up, don't try and do anything too spectacular. Just play your game, how you normally play. That's the really important part. So if you normally do pendulum serves, do pendulum serves. If you do something else, do that. Don't try to change anything, even close to the tournament. So from now to the tournament, don't try and learn something new. Just consolidate what you know. That's really important. Then during the tournament, as I said, just think about doing things that you do well. Don't try to do anything more, and enjoy what you're doing. Just get out there, enjoy what you're doing, try to learn as much as you possibly can in those matches. That's the best advice.
Excellent. Great tips there. Hopefully that helps you out, Chi. Thanks for the question. And Chi asked that question using the Google Q&A app. And so anyone can ask us a question live on the show. Just go to our Google Plus page Easiest way to find it is go to pingskills.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there's a little Google Plus icon. Click on that, and then you'll see our shows, and you can click on the Q&A button to ask us a question. And of course, we also take the best questions from our Ask the Coach section of the PingSkills website. And we've got one of those such questions here from Ugo, who says, when committing to a forehand loop return, is it sufficient to keep the bat vertical when driving the ball up from under the table with a brushing technique? And if the opponent chops with heavy backspin, is it the power of the vertical swing and the bat angle?
Yeah, so it's always a combination of two things. It's a combination of the angle of your racket and how fast you're moving it. So if it's a heavy backspin, you can counter that backspin by just playing a really vertical stroke and having your racket open. In fact, you could almost do that, right? And you could get the ball on the table. But you can also get the ball on the table by coming right over the ball, brushing the ball, but then your contact needs to be very, very fast. So it's always a combination of those two things. Actually three things. So the angle of your racket, the trajectory of your swing, and the speed of your swing. So if you open up the angle, have that sort of trajectory, and have a really fast swing, the ball's going to end up flying into the roof, right? So
no, we just lost you for a second, but we got that. Yeah, if you opened up the bat and just hit it straight up, it would go into the roof. What's next?
Yeah, so then if you are going to have a fast contact, you have to come over the top of the ball and brush right over, getting a fast brushing contact. So yeah, so just think about those three variables: the angle of your racket, the trajectory of your swing, and the speed of your swing.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing though, if you open up the racket and sort of just do that slowly, you might get the ball back on the table, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be a very effective shot, because you're kind of going to just hit the ball and you're not going to get much spin, and it's going to be slow. What's the ideal way to return that heavy backspin serve?
Yeah, so definitely, ideally, you want to generate the topspin. So turning your bat over and brushing through really fast is the best way to return it, because then you're putting a lot of spin on the ball and you're putting some pressure on your opponent as well.
Great, got it. Okay, and then yeah, so I guess that just, once you get that heaps of topspin, it's just whether you do more a slow spinning topspin or a faster topspin, but either of those can be effective.
Yeah. So really try to get your racket moving through fast, I suppose, is the first thing, because that's the way that you'll generate the spin on the ball too.
Okay, fast with a brushing contact. Got it. All right. Now Bennett has said, I've been playing seriously for about 6 months, and I was wanting to know when I should go to a tournament. I'm not too worried about my rating, and mostly I'm doing it for the enjoyment of the game.
All right, Bennett, get to a tournament. Get out there and enjoy what you're doing.
All right, we lost you again. But yeah, it's never, I don't think it's ever too early to go to a tournament. You know, table tennis clubs that run tournaments are fairly welcoming, and you'll get to meet other people, and there's always like graded events, so you can always find someone your level. It's really a great experience. It opens up, you know, you meet new people and you'll learn so much from it. So as we always say, you know, go to a club, and when you go to a club, you find out about tournaments, and then just go to a tournament. I think you'll really like it. And especially because you're not too worried about your rating, nothing to lose. Just go there, have some fun, and enjoy the experience. Good luck, Bennett. And when you do go to a tournament, just let us know. Drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you, Bennett. All right. Next up is one from Chris Town, who's asked a question on our Google Q&A app. He says, hello, I'm having problems with learning the reverse pendulum serve. I either just push the ball from underneath or I just do the motion, but the serve doesn't go over the net. And he says, my rubber has, good spin and good speed, it says, with a hard rubber. So what tips do you have on doing the reverse pendulum serve, Alois?
Yeah, it's really important to get the action right. So starting with your racket right up under your armpit there, and then brushing forward. So really using your wrist in this backward motion to generate the speed and then therefore the spin on the ball as well. So this is the key for the pendulum, for the reverse pendulum serve. We've got some good tips. We've got a lesson on the reverse pendulum serve in our serving secrets. Again, something that you can really benefit from the premium membership. If you can get on there just even for a month, get onto the premium membership and just have a look at the reverse pendulum serve, and you'll find some really good.
Yeah, just cut out again, but that's all right. Yeah, a lot of good tips there. Check it out. It's in the serving secrets section, and it's for our premium members. Thanks for the question. All right. Now, next up is a question from Romeo. And Romeo says, I am a player that likes to play forehands away from the table. I usually win against my opponents because of my spinning topspins. If I was required to play in a small space, should I start being a blocker or a hitter just in case?
No, definitely not. You need to develop your game. So, and the higher level you get, the more space you'll have in general. Like you'll go to better tournaments, better clubs, play in better situations. So, develop the game that suits you. And for you, it sounds like you like playing away from the table with topspin. Stick with it. Go for it. Okay, stick with what you're doing.
All right, there's some good advice for you, Romeo. All right, now, Alois, just to finish off the show, we've got a couple of quick-fire questions from people using the Google Q&A app. And first up, Chi says, what is the time now in Melbourne? I'm a bit curious of the time difference between Australia and Singapore.
So it's currently 10:13 p.m.
There we go. And Chi also says, thanks for understanding me well from past questions. You're welcome, Chi. All right, and Ilya says, are you interested in football? I mean, soccer.
Yes, I am actually. My son actually plays football, soccer. So, so I'm interested, and I'm getting more and more interested in it. We've got the International Cup here at the moment, so with Man City, Roma, and Real Madrid. So, so Friday is the match between Man City and Real Madrid, so that'll be a good one. Yes, indeed.
There you go. Now, Captain has come on and said, so I won my first tournament. I really have you guys to thank a lot for that. He goes, I noticed that I have trouble when my opponent gets a few points in a row. How could I simulate these situations in my training? And also, when should I back up from the table?
Yes.
Oh, you've cut out, but you always come back, Alois. It's all right. I think you'll probably be back now. So start again and give us some advice.
Yeah. So it's good that you're recognising the fact that you're losing some points in a row. And what you need to do is you need to have a little bit of a circuit breaker in there. So every time you lose 2 or 3 points in a row, you need to just take a few seconds away from the table. So reload and think about what you're going to do for the next point. So have that as a real trigger for you. As soon as you lose 3 points, stop, think about, okay, I need to change something. I can't just keep losing these points in a row. So I think that's something that can really help you. I'm just So as far as simulating these situations, I suppose one way is in the practice situation, just set up some different point drills. So you could start a game with you being 3 points down, at 2-5, or started at 6-9 and you've just lost the last 3 points and you need to stop and regroup. So yeah, that might help as well. It's not exactly the situation, but it might trigger something for you. But the most important thing is in the matches, when you do recognize that you've lost those 3 points, stop, reload, work out what you're doing, and do something about it.
Very good advice. Now we've got some more questions, which is great. We love people jumping on the show and asking questions. So thank you everybody for these great questions. Now the next question is it better to brush the ball hard on the top of the table when it's higher, or do you hit it flat? So I think he's talking about, Alois, if the ball's a bit higher above the table, should you be hitting it with topspin or hitting it flat? That's my sort of read on the question.
Is shoulder height or above, then there's a possibility that you can start to hit the ball flat. If it's lower than that, then definitely hit it with topspin. But even when the ball is at this sort of level, it's okay to put some topspin on the ball as well. It's a little bit safer stroke. So only smash when you're really confident, when the ball's there and you're ready and you're in good position, then you can think about hitting it flatter. Otherwise, just go with the topspin. Good. Topspin's good.
It is good, yeah. I used to often like to even topspin a bit higher balls. It just felt safer for me. But yeah, if you like to smash and it's high and you're confident, then go for it too. All right, Alois, that wraps up show 157. Thanks everybody for watching, and thanks everybody for jumping on and asking questions. Love the engagement. Make sure you check out our website, PingSkills.com. Sign up for our free newsletter if you haven't. And also like us on Facebook, and you can comment on the PingSkills question of the day there. And thank you, Alois, for your words of wisdom.
Thanks, Jeffrey, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye.